Welcome to abombtozzzax. With me, Colin Holt. And my friends, Dan Snellgrove and Jamie Firth. Here they come!
Everybody, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. We're back. It's abombtozzzax, my favorite Marvel character. Three 40-ish men talking about Marvel characters. Who's the best? Who's the worst? We've got a big list and it's getting bigger. We've been away for a very long time because it sounds like because we've all had dreadful operations. No, we haven't. Nothing bad has happened. Dan is in South America. He's currently in Colombia. Say hi, Dan.
Yep. Hello there.
Currently
Hola, I should say hola.
In the jungle.
Yes, there are the sounds of the creatures all around me as we speak, including other travellers making sleeping noises.
Tell them to be quiet. No.
Early.
But what is there like? What are we talking? Pythons?
We've got obviously all manner of insects making their lovely call sounds. But there'd be jaguars in this jungle.
There'd be jaguars. I had a tarantula on my hand the other day. Have you seen any tarantulas? I had a tarantula on my hand. At the Latitude Festival, a man had a tarantula and put it on my hand. And it was actually very, very comforting feeling. It felt like it was sort of like it felt like someone giving you a slight massage on your palm.
Oh, lovely.
So tarantula, don't be scared of the tarantulas.
I've also had one on my hand. I had one when I was in Peru. I had one on my hand in another jungle. So yeah, I know what you mean. I was perhaps slightly more apprehensive than you, but yeah, it did feel quite nice.
If we got to K, we could have talked about Khazar, Lord of the Jungle, or Shana, the She-Devil, but sadly we have not. Sorry about that. But yeah, Dan's out in Colombia, and Dan, who I would probably describe in many ways, he's like a man who spent much of his life interacting on role-playing games with friends until he discovered his family doing a sacrifice and had to run away. Dan Snellgrove. That won't make any sense to you. Joining us also, a man so beautiful his face could be a golden mask. He's in Edinburgh at the minute, as am I. We're in different rooms in Edinburgh right now. Jamie is helping with a play called Pisky, and I am doing my own arrogant show called Colin. And they're both going great. So there we go. abombtozzzax. So this is where we go through every single Marvel character on the Marvel Unlimited app, and we talk briefly about them. We read one of a comic featuring them, maybe their first appearance, maybe their best appearance. And then we put them in a big order. Now, if you've been listening before, you'll know we've sort of given them points and stuff, but I've decided to make it simpler because I literally can't add. Literally can't add up. I've made, Jamie, I can't believe I made 2 edit points for you in the first 20 seconds. Yep, that's absolutely furious. So currently, these are the characters we've met so far. They're all A, apart from one, and the reason for that is every 6 episodes we jump forwards to go to a very popular character. So this is the order I believe out of the characters we've read from best to worst. Okay, best Magneto. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah,
it's got to be right. Okay, this is the order I'm going for. Abigail Brand, Adam Warlock, Agatha Harkness, Abyss, Absorbing Man, Aguila, Abomination, Ajax, Agent Zero, Airwalker, A-Bomb, Achilles, Adam Destine, Arrow, and finally Agent X. Any immediate this is based on what I felt and what I felt you felt from what you said. I mean, Arrow's rubbish. Agent X, horrible.
Yeah.
Adam Destine, I thought Jamie might fight for a little bit more.
A little bit. Fantastic.
Would you put him above A-Bomb? Would you put him above A-Bomb?
No, I don't think so. I think
okay.
Agatha Harkness seems the one that's down a little bit for me.
Down. Well, you see, I mean, that is the one where I did add the scores, and technically Abigail Brand had more than Adam Warlock and Agatha, which seems wrong, but because she's a new character. But she's a good character, right?
You got to have a system. You can't argue with the numbers.
You gotta have a system. And we do. And we did. And it done. So this week, every week we're going to meet 3 characters, unless we're doing a super big character who I believe, has got enough of a story that we have to split them up a bit. So firstly, we're reading Runaways #1, the first iteration of Runaways from 2003, where we meet Alex Wilder. Alex Wilder sounds like a boring character. I think he's the best of the 3. New Excalibur, issue 5 from 2006, where we meet Albion. That's Jamie's hero. And finally, Marvel Presents from 1976, issue 4, where we meet the mysterious Aleta. Who is she? Yeah. Who is this Aleta? So Dan, you focus mainly on Aleta, and considering you've got to get the hell out of Colombia quick soon.
Don't tell them why.
We won't go into why. But so we'll start with the Guardians of the Galaxy Aleta. What was your take? What a lady.
Well, if it's all right, can I first say that I've been evangelizing this podcast, obviously, as I've been traveling around Colombia. We have a Colombian listener, Diana.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to give her a little shout out. Yes. She helped me.
Hi,
get
Diana.
on the bus.
What's hello in Colombian? Is it hola?
Oh, hola, yeah.
Hola, Diana.
So yeah, this one is called Into the Maw of Madness.
Oh, Into the Maw of Madness.
And it's got a big picture at the front of superheroes battling the big baddie of the day, which frankly looks like a big frog made of marshmallow.
He is a big frog made of marshmallow. There's some interesting design choices in this comic. There's a character called 27, and basically has 2 belts for a costume across his big fat chest. Quite creepy. Yeah. Into the Maw of Madness. These are the Guardians of the Galaxy, but have you seen the Guardians of the Galaxy film, Dan?
Right. I've seen the first one.
Okay, so you will probably be quite, who the hell are these guys? I don't recognize any of them.
That's right. They don't seem to tally up to the people I saw in the movie.
No.
But do they? I mean, like, the thing that's confusing for me is that basically they're all blue. There's so many blue characters in this that blue. I need a bit of,
old bondagey Charlie in his belts.
Yeah,
red.
He's a big guy.
Wow.
So I got a bit. It was a bit tricky for me to keep my head around who everyone was because they were all blue. Nothing against blue. I love blue.
It's a lovely colour, but I wonder why everything's blue. Because like in the X-Men, you've got like Mystique, Beast, Nightcrawler. What is this blue?
Oh,
why do we love blue? Why do we love blue so much, Marvel?
I don't know. How strange, yeah.
So yeah, so sorry. So you were saying about Aleta, specifically on Aleta. So
yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy, in this iteration, this is the original iteration, I should say.
Right.
And they're fighting the Badoon, who are this race who have just wiped out bloody billions. I think billions of people.
That's pretty bad.
And this is Marvel in the future. In like, so the other Guardians of the Galaxy from the movies are now, but in space. So this is literally like, what's the Marvel universe like in 1,000 years? It turns out it's 4 big blokes wearing blue. 4 big, weird, creepy-looking men in blue. And
the Blue Man group have really bulked up.
Blue Man group, yeah. There they go. Oh, sorry, there's 5 men. 1 man's made out of crystal. Weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so, yeah, okay. It's the Maw of Madness, this big frog thing. Like, the first thing is, bloody hell, the guy who isn't wearing blue says, if we can't defeat this thing, it will devour the universe. So, like, if you thought Galactus was bad, eating planet, this guy eats the whole universe. So
a great big frog. A great big nothingy frog.
That's how the universe is going to go. It's not the big crunch or whatever. It's a frog.
Which I quite like in a sort of like ancient sort of, probably I'm talking bullshit here, but sort of Hindu legend type way. Do you know what I mean? Or even like a Terry Pratchett way that at the end, the end of the Marvel Universe, big frog eats it.
Yeah.
Might as well be. As your bloody like science.
We'll get to my science. I've got a science point.
Yeah. No, I've got some science questions for you. Yeah.
Okay, then. So moving on. And I do feel a bit bad for these guys because they are the guardians of the galaxy.
Yeah.
But this thing's going to eat the whole universe. So I feel like they're a bit out of their depth here.
They really are.
It's a bit unfair, isn't it? But there we go.
They ain't got a chance.
So, yeah, we meet some of these characters. One of them is called Starhawk. Now, Starhawk feels kind of like a Q from Star Trek type thing. He's very powerful and he can appear in people's minds. And he does this. He sort of like, quite disturbingly, creeps into one of the other characters' rooms and then into their heads.
Ooh. I don't like him. I'm not a fan of Starhawk. He's a creep.
That's a creepy thing to do, right?
He's kind of got a sort of, he's got a slightly Adam Warlock-y, I'm a powerful, you don't really know my power. So it's very ill-defined.
Yeah, it's ill-defined. But he does say at one point, remember, I can turn your protective suit into dust and kill you, mate. All right. And that's his friend.
I'm not going to, but I could if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could just like destroy you all with like clicking my fingers if I want because my powers are all fine. So I'm not going to tell you how they work. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he doesn't get off to a good start.
We've got to talk about Major Victory. Should we come back to Major Victory? I think that could be the worst character of all time. But anyway.
I as I said, I got lost with the blue and I thought just you're here to study Aleta. Focus on Aleta.
Yes, no, let's come back to Aleta. Yeah, you're right.
All right. So, if someone starts walking around in your room.
Can you hear that loud motorbike outside? Sorry. No.
Not over the noise of the insects.
Or maybe it's the washing. I don't know. I'm constantly woke up by bagpipes and this guy who's performing and he keeps playing this song on a loop that just goes, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. Anyway, sorry.
Sounds great.
So yes, Aleta. Finally, we get to Aleta.
Right. Yes.
Sorry,
so
marble heads.
So it's his name. Where was I? His name is Vance. Oh, come on. Do you know Colin?
We're talking about Major Victory now.
Is that Major Victory? Is that his name?
Major Victory is Vance Astro.
Vance. That's it. Vance Astro. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So he's the guy whose mind is being invaded. And he gets a bit annoyed, so he zaps him back with a mental beam.
Yes.
And as it hits Starhawk, something weird happens. He sort of like splits in two, and this beautiful woman appears.
Mm.
And these are not my words. She's officially beautiful because it says, the woman's appearance is nearly blinding. Such is the beauty of her visage, the energy of her presence.
Yeah. I mean, she looks quite like a throwback character, very Star Trek, isn't it? She's sort of got that sort of bob and little earrings. She sort of looks like from the 50s. But I guess in the 70s, the 50s felt like space, did it?
But this comic's 2004, wasn't
it? No. This is from 1976.
Right. Okay. I am paying attention. I promise.
No. So he becomes she?
It appears so. It's all a bit kind of odd, and I quite like it. He gets a bit disturbed because his, I don't know, female alter ego or whatever it is has been revealed. So he's a bit miffed.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can skip through the next bit where there's like, he tells everyone about the big baddie, the frog thing, and they're all like, oh my goodness, you need to go and investigate this. But then we cut to an Earth-like planet where there's some kids. And they see this big thing in the sky. They're like, oh my God, we need to go and... Well, actually, one of them says, we need to go... I'm going to go and punch up Aleta, which to my English ears sounded a bit extreme. But apparently that just means giving a Zoom call.
I guess it means punch in the coordinates. Yeah. And they go on Zoom,
right.
basically, don't they? But they're in a real, like, sort of log cabin, like farm. Very, it's like that on Star Trek, actually. You know, when it cut to Picard and he'd be in like a vineyard or something. Jarring, but also probably budget reasons. But there's no budget here. You know, you can draw
Draw what you like. You've got all the colours, you know.
Well, I think they've mainly got green and pink, I think. But yeah.
A whole lot of blue in other places, yeah.
Anyway,
so, yeah.
These kids, yeah. Tara,
she
Sita,
appears.
Their names are Tara, Sita, and John.
Yeah. So yeah, they punch her up. She appears obviously looking beautiful with these sort of earrings that look a bit like grapes. And then she demonstrates her power, which I think that any parents listening, this has got to be your top superpower. Forget invisibility, forget flight, right? This is the one you want. Her kids who are like distressed and, oh God, there's a big thing in the sky. She just looks at them. She zaps them with her eye beams. And then they just shut up and they go to bed.
Yeah. Amazing.
No complaining. They just, they go to bed.
What did they go to tell? They got to tell her something was wrong. And she just, I mean, it's bad parenting, isn't it? They went to tell her that there's this big ship has arrived. They're in danger. And she just like looks at them and goes, shut up, bed. And they go straight to their beds.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I mean, yeah, from the other perspective, they may all get eaten by whatever it is in the sky. But at least they'll be peaceful in their heads.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as she's doing this, parsecs away. It's a side swerve, you call it.
Is a parsec a real word?
It is an actual word. It's an actual word from science. Okay.
Right. How far is
it? It's the word
from science.
Here we go. It is roughly 3.26 light years.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's the distance. And it was used in Star Wars. I think it's quite famously used as Luke uses it as a time.
It's the Kessel Run, isn't it? Is the Kessel Run that was done in a certain amount of parsecs?
The Kessel Run is Star. Oh, Dan's frozen. Oh well, the Kessel Run is Star Trek, isn't it?
No, I think it's Han Solo. It's the Millennium Falcon was able to go a certain amount of parsecs.
Oh, okay.
A certain amount of parsecs, I think.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't know that was 3.2 light years.
I think it's better when they just use parsecs. That is interesting, Dan. I like it when they use, parsecs and miles even and stuff like that, rather than like quadrons or something, or 14 booglus to the thingy, Yeah, so just a reach, isn't it, really? So, and then Aleta appears in their ship. Is that right?
Yeah. Starhawk's all like a bit exhausted for some reason because of this connection he has. And then, she appears in the ship, but it very clearly says she hasn't like traveled because she hasn't come from anywhere. She's just changed it's a different state of existence, they call it. And then she goes, I've got a body now, and she's enjoying breathing and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know, like she exists, she's sort of floating around in space somehow.
Share the same body.
Yeah, but it's a different body. When she gets it, it's a beautiful lady body.
Yeah. So they're sharing the atoms and changing them.
Yeah, I guess so. She's reconfiguring all his molecules into
obviously, if this came out now, there'd be an uproar across the internet, presumably, because it's a character that literally goes from a man to a woman. But I think Starhawk, I don't think Starhawk likes Aleta. Is that right? He's generally quite aggressive towards her as a thing, or he's not happy with sharing his body, basically.
Well, I this might be knowledge that you have that I don't, because all we see is that she appears, she absolutely bowls over Major, what was his name? Major Brilliant or something?
Major Fantastic, Major Victory, sorry. Which is up there with US Agent, isn't it? Yeah. Think of these as a Major Victory, and it has been a major victory. Everyone, do you get every time he says his name? He's like, "Do you get it? Do you get it?" It's like, well, it's sort of almost a pun, Vance. I just call yourself Vance Astro, mate. It's much cooler.
Vance with the Vance.
Vance with the Vance. Vance Astro is, I'm just going to tell you very quickly, he's a man who traveled in space 1,000 years. He was sent from Earth and put into, what's it called, suspended animation for 1,000 years and then woke up. But I think there's some sort of like thing where he was sent to stop the sun blowing up or something like that. But then while he was away, they worked out how anyway. So he just sort of like did for nothing. Something like that. And then he's been found by. So he basically is like, the idea is, I think it's like Captain America, and the Captain America's found after World War II, but he's found in the far future. But he wears a suit that covers his entire body, including his lips. But he can open his mouth. But he's so old that if any of that suit was removed, he'd immediately turn into dust.
Oh, I see. That's what the other guy was threatening. I'm going to take your suit away, and then you will crumble to dust. Oh, bloody.
I mean, he's a liability in any fight, surely. If he gets
someone just, pulls the zip down on the back of his suit.
Yeah.
Oh, have you worn your dusty suit again? Oh, don't wear the dusty suit. There's a clean one in there.
Well, no, he's dusty inside is the problem. The outside's fine. But again, it looks quite bondagey, isn't it? It's a bit rubbery all over his face.
Yeah.
Major victory.
He then tries to score a major victory
with Aleta.
Yeah, because she sort of swans through. So he then goes into her quarters now, but the quarters that belong to Starhawk.
Yeah.
In a kind of like a revenge, I can creep into your room if you creep into mine type thing. And then he discovers Aleta, and immediately he's like a teenage boy, but asks her to dinner. Within a few panels of the comic, he's fast over.
It's sort of X-Men level horny, isn't it? It's the original X-Men. But it's his mate. It sort of feels quite like a farcical, like, some dreadful 70s farce where someone's like in a dress and then they don't realize it's like, hey, beautiful, where did you come from?
It doesn't help that as soon as she disappears into a room, he then comes out of the room and says, "What are you doing here?" That's very French farce.
And he says, Major Victory says, "Hop down off the pedestal. You've been holding out on us, haven't you, Papa?"
Papa.
But then,
which I have to.
Aleta says to him, "You must tell Starhawk." So basically, I think they're a husband and wife, but they share the same body, so they commute. They give each other messages. So she says, "You must tell him the children are in danger. He must come at once, right?" And then Starhawk goes, "Spare me your tedious attempts at humor, Major. You have a message to relay, do you not?" And he goes, "All in good time." It's like the message is the children are in danger. There literally couldn't be a more important message, probably. Anyway, all in good time. We'll be all right.
Yeah, you tell me who that lady is. That's what I want to know. Interestingly, Starhawk can tell if there's a message, but he can't tell what it is.
He knows she sent him a message.
Yeah, because he doesn't even. Yeah, it's not that Major Victory says there is a message. He just says, "You have a message for me, don't you?" So he knows that she's appeared. And he presumes, I guess, that she's appeared in order to give him a message. But it's a strange connection that they have. Perhaps he knows. He doesn't. Perhaps he only knows that his entire molecular structure has been reformed. He can tell that, as you might. But he doesn't know what the message is.
Thing, isn't it? Where you wake up and you're like, "What have I done?" Or the werewolf thing. You sort of got a vague idea. But he woke up and he was his wife. Sorry, he's been asleep. There's a lot more humour to be had that is not explored in this comic. That you wake up, you go to sleep and become your wife. And then your wife gets up to all sorts of crazy shenanigans, flirting with Major Victory. And you come back and you're like, I know I was my wife, but I don't know what she did. But I'll tell you what, lads, the bloody credit card's maxed out. Am I right? Oh no! What's she done this time? So much old school humour to be had here.
I can only hope that's the next
But
issue of the.
we should probably move on because we haven't got that much time. But anything's around. I had one science question, which is that the big frog that's destroying the universe. They say how it is Karanada, the emptiness that devours, and the idea is it's nothing. It's anti-energy, a moving state of non-being. So this is kind of like the nothing in Neverending Story. Dan, I've often wondered since watching Neverending Story, is this a thing that could in any... Let's go into Science Corner first of all.
Science Corner.
Science Corner.
Dan, is a sort of malevolent nothing possible? Or what is nothing? Does the police cars come in? What is nothing? Is nothing a thing? What am I asking? Who am I?
Nothing is a thing. It's just what we might think of as nothing is often full of stuff, and whether that stuff is matter or antimatter, or it is certainly stuff that we can't see or is very difficult to detect. So, for instance, right now we are being bombarded by billions and billions of particles. It's a shower of cosmic rays coming through us at all times. Neutrinos that are so hard to detect. Even out in space where there is.
I'm always looking for them.
It's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. And out in space where there is, we consider it to be a vast emptiness of nothing. There are all these particles and things flying around. Yes, but I suppose the idea of like a nothingness that could consume everything else. I suppose you could say antimatter could be that, where antimatter meets matter, it annihilates, releasing energy and then nothing. So, well, not nothing. Okay, they're going to quibble with me a little bit here, the true scientists, but. That might be the way of destroying the universe by getting all the matter and all the antimatter and putting it together.
So the big frog thing would be antimatter?
Could be, yeah. That's a theory.
Because there's one point Starhawk flies into the frog very bravely. I'm just going to fly into it, see what happens. But they say it's pure cold, not merely the absence of heat. But that's not cold then, is it? Or is it? Oh, God.
Well, so heat is when...
Almost like they're just making this up.
Yeah, they might even be making it up. Yeah.
It's not cold. Is it just room temperature? Is it just tepid?
Lukewarm.
Yeah.
Oh, this tea is lukewarm.
It's as cold as a slush puppy over my teeth.
Yeah. Caranada. All right. Any final thoughts or questions on this wonderful comic?
Well, okay. To ask you, Colin.
We do Tell Me More. Tell Me More, I believe was.
Tell me more, Colin. Does the frog win?
Oh, God. I got no idea about the frog. I didn't read the next episode. I mean, the frog. Why does he look like a frog if he's nothing?
It's his maw,
He's
isn't
got to
it?
look like
It's his maw, which is like a big
mouth.
gaping predatorial mouth.
Yeah.
It's always leaves them wanting more.
There's a great bit of footage online of these 3 frogs trying this really disgusting insect. Have you seen it? It's wonderful. They all taste it and all go like spit it straight out. It's just like a really disgusting. It's very funny. Yeah. I don't know what happens to the frog. I mean, this is the thing, I guess, with this is sort of, this comic would be before you had like epic crossover storylines, endgame style. So every comic's probably like, wow, this will destroy the universe. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think I don't think Caranada comes back. I didn't look him up. Caranada, the emptiness that devours, the big frog man. I do know that I had a little look at Aleta, her future, and basically her, and there's a thing where like literally Starhawk, they sort of is a kind of abuser towards her, or he is like,
oh God,
violent or something, and they have a divorce, so they have to separate as characters. So it's very weird. It's an origin. I read it up and I couldn't understand what the hell they were talking about. It's basically like this god puts them in one body but he's abusive. It's really weird. It's really unpleasant storyline. But I like Aleta. I reckon. But let's put them all in the thing at the end. I definitely prefer it to Starhawk, who is a knob. Even without that information.
Yeah.
Bit of a knob. So let's move on to the mighty Albion. Albion, not a very well-known character. And I'm sorry that this is... Dan, you haven't read it anyway, old friend, but you might as well.
Why do you always tell them that? They don't need to know.
They don't need to know that, do they? They don't. It's all right.
Oh.
They do on other podcasts. They say, I didn't get round to reading this. That's fine. You're in
I'm in Colombia, mate. I'm in the jungle.
You're in the jungle. It's fair. I'm amazed you managed to read any.
Thank you.
So this was in New Excalibur number 5. And I'm sorry that your first introduction to Excalibur and indeed Captain Britain was this, because it was not good, in my honest opinion. It's written by Chris Claremont, who wrote many wonderful X-Men comics. But by this point, he was very old. He sort of went away in a huff and then came back and just did some really boring comics.
I mean, I was kind of delighted to get this comic because obviously I had no conception of Captain Britain. It's one of those ones that feels like it's a joke because of Captain America. It's like, oh, well, what if there was a Captain Britain? He would sound like LEG type sort of thing. But no, he's real. And
which they did. There was this really bad Superman Elseworlds. Elseworlds is like a sort of what if DC version,
right?
Where Superman is British. It's called True Brit, and it's written by John Cleese. And I have read most comics, and it's it's written by John Cleese. Sort of partly ghostwritten, and it's set in Western Supermare because that's where he's from. This what if Superman landed, which is kind of funny, but like it's just the worst thing you've ever experienced, like that's ever been created by a human. Sorry, John Cleese.
Yeah, no, John Cleese did some wonderful things, but he also did a lot of things for money, I think. And I think by his own admission, I think he did a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
he just needed to make a lot of money.
Pay for the divorce type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the comic book. Yeah, I'll do that. Why not?
But you've never met Captain Britain, but have you seen Captain Britain before?
Not until now. It's a bit frightening. What with the political situation in the UK at the moment, we've got kind of street riots going on where people are wearing not dissimilar outfits to Captain Britain, who has a big sort of Union Jack.
Although I was quite heartened in a way to see the counter protesters are now using kind of Union Jack stuff as well, but with stop being twats on it.
Have we all forgotten about Britpop? I mean, it was a positive thing just a minute ago.
Yeah.
We can reclaim it again.
We are old, Jamie.
But immediately, people don't remember Britpop. What was that? It was like the Beatles, but more recent.
By the way, obviously it's a podcast, so I am eating.
Yes. Have your pair.
Sorry, carry on, Jamie. So, yes.
Yes, so we've got Captain Britain dressed in a full sort of Union Jack bodysuit. We've also got Kelsey, who has a sort of, she's got the sort of golden lion on her chest, and then a sort of Spider-Man-ish mask, but it's the British flag as well. So it's clearly like a good old Cockney scrap. That I failed to follow.
Her name's Lionheart. She became Captain Britain, I think, for literally 2 issues, and then they went, no, change it. Don't like it. Yeah.
I mean, she opens with saying, because of you, my babies believe their mother is dead, and if I reveal the truth, they'll die, which was quite a big leap because I failed to find anything that referred to that. I assume it's like an earlier episode of the comic, and this is a continuation of that story. Either that or they just said, well, no exposition required, let's just jump straight into the dialogue.
Yeah, it's quite a weird thing, that, isn't it, to not just say, if what is it, if my kids find out who I am, they'll die. Yeah.
And then we jump to Ms. Ross, who appears to be Captain Britain's girlfriend. In a car, and in their battle, she's
called. Can you hear my washing machine? Sorry, can you hear the washing machine?
No, that's fine.
You can't hear it?
Can't.
Oh, really? Oh, great. Okay, carry
Well, shout out to the washing machine company, I would
Yeah.
say. That's some good silencing. And her name's Courtney, and she's in the car. So Kelsey is fighting him, and then Courtney's in the car, and basically she crushes Courtney in the car with Captain Britain, who jumps in at the last minute to save her. But then Kelsey drags him out and says Captain Britain is dead, which you already know. You're almost certain that that's not the case.
That's not the case. Captain
She
Britain
says,
is
Captain
not
Britain is
dead.
dead. I have my vengeance. Heaven forgive me. What have I done? ? And all the time you're reading it, you're thinking, well, you've not done that, because clearly he's fine.
Oh, Lionheart
and-
says, what have I done?
Yeah, what have I done? And then obviously he opens his eyes and goes, I wasn't dead really. And I managed to protect Courtney as well.
And then the character we are talking about, Albion,
Now,
appears.
here he comes, the big fella. Now he's got a lion heart on his chest as well. I mean, how to describe this fella? He's got a lot of gold. He's clearly a wealthy man, upper class Brit, I would imagine.
He's got a beautiful golden mask, which reminds
very
me of the film
beautiful.
Excalibur. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Mordred. Did
When-
you ever see Excalibur, Dan?
Is it the Merlin character? The Merlin character.
Are you
has
sure you
like a
can't
sort
hear
of-
that washing machine, guys?
No.
We cannot
Really?
hear it.
Wow. Okay, great. Yeah, he wears. Mordred, who is Arthur's son, wears that same mask. I reckon that's where they got it from. It's quite a
beautiful.
cool mask. You see that?
It is sort of lion-y as well. It's got like a sort of
It's like
a lion-y feel.
dead-eyed, beautiful.
Yeah. And he's Albion, which is the old word for Britain, I think. It's
Yeah.
somewhere, there's some sort of history there that
Yeah.
I don't know all of. But yes, Albion. Perfidious Albion, I feel is something that Boris
Perfidious
Johnson has said a
Albion,
lot.
I think that's from King Lear, maybe.
Yeah. It's Britain, isn't it?
It's Britain.
Anyway, he basically says, guess what? I've come to kill you, Captain Britain. Obviously he has. He says, I'll leave the woman for you to deal with, to Lionheart, so you can knock off Courtney while I deal with Captain Britain. And then I think one of my favorite fight sequences in any comic that we've had so far happens where Captain Britain and Albion start fighting, and there is a beautiful selection of panels of sound effects. You know I'm a sucker for the sound effects.
You love it.
In text. And there's one panel in this comic that just has, as Captain Britain and Albion are fighting above it, they're out of shot. The panel is just London Bridge, and the words beep, 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 whoop, whoop, whooper, 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 and
Whooper?
honker, honker, honker.
What's going
appear
whooper?
in
Is that
massive
like a
letters.
street seller selling those?
I'm not sure. So there is a panel coming up where basically there's a massive crash. That's also in a great big text font, where all of the windows alongside the River Thames shatter due to some
They're punching each
presumably
other so hard. They're just flying.
acoustic
in the air.
sonic boom type business. So I wondered whether the beep beep whoop whooper and honker honker was the traffic on London Bridge,
I think so.
or
I
car
think they're all
alarms
just
going
like-
off.
Annoyed.
But it's one of these classic fights where basically they just cancel each other out in a massive fight. There's citizens underneath getting glass in their eyes and having to walk on glass. There is a panel where it says, who will think of the citizens? It's all this sort of
London.
it's like collateral damage stuff. I really liked, I forget which DC movie it was. Was it the second Superman one that opened with, or one of the Batman ones maybe, that opened with a scene where it's like it's an old battle. I think Marvel did the same thing.
Almost like
actually. It's
9/11, that tower.
You show the battle at the end of the previous movie, but from the citizens' perspective. So they're all like
That was pretty
in
cool.
the
though.
street. Anyway, Lionheart is about to kill Courtney, but Captain Britain and Albion are still fighting. And then he tells her to kill her and not to give her any mercy at all. Foolishly, she doesn't. And then Captain Britain's chums all arrive. So he's got a squad. I've kind of cut them out of this There is a sort of subplot throughout the comic book where his chums are off doing something, but now they're here and they basically break it up. And amazingly, Albion just turns to Lionheart and says, "The tide of battle is turning, my dear." And she says, "Can't we take them?" And he says, "Forgive me, my dear, but you're not ready." And so they chicken out, basically. And he grabs her, flies off and says, "We might still prevail, but a prudent strategist knows that this is the time to let discretion prove the better part of valor." Setting up presumably more fun adventures in Captain Britain land, and old Albion will be back for his revenge.
Yeah.
And the end of the book is them basically cleaning up after all of that. The beloved London Fire Service going in to clean up the glass, like so many current events.
It felt like a fairly accurate depiction of London, would you say? Normally, you look in these things, you've got no idea where it's meant to be. Do you know what I mean? It's in nowhere.
Yes.
Or London is basically like sort of,
I mean, Britain,
like a medieval town still to Americans, whereas this feels like at least it's got a couple of skyscrapers and stuff.
Yeah, I'm guessing that, to Americans, Britain is basically London and the British flag, and it would be foolish to set it in Durham or
Western Superman.
Westwood Ho, I was going to say, but yeah, okay, Western Superman.
Yeah, I'm sorry this is your first introduction to Captain Britain. I mean, you must have been wondering, who is this big oaf, this big out?
I'm into it.
Well, Alan basically made the best Captain Britain comics. He made the best Alan Moore comics as well, but he made the best Captain Britain comics, he was very ahead of his time in that he created the multiverse thing, and which is obviously very popular now. But he created the Captain Britain Corps, where there was a different Captain Britain. So there's Captain UK. There was one called Captain UK, Captain Britain, Captain Briton, which was like an ancient Roman. As if the Romans still, that Dan's laughing at this idea. He thinks it's silly. There was one that was like an up north bloke. He had like a big beard and he was like Captain Yorkshire or something.
Captain Yorkshire.
It was a word, I can't remember what it was, but it was as if Yorkshire had sort of become the more dominant. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he was Captain Albion actually. Originally, I mean, this was in the 80s, whereas this comic came out in the early 2000s. But I think Albion is just an attempt to create an evil Captain America, essentially. I think I did look it up again, but it was so nothingy, but it's essentially some sort of fascist Britain.
Right.
So in a way, he is.
Who could imagine?
Yeah, interesting. If he was actually like the people we've seen at the riots, he would not look like that beautiful Adonis. He might look more like
I did think they were quite restrained on a lot of the time. You get these very British things, so it's all very Spinal Tap sort of. All right, mate, me old fish and chips friend over here, and you don't get a. There's a little bit at the beginning. Lionheart says, "I don't want your bloody sorry," and I thought, oh, maybe it's going to go sort of Mockney, and it didn't. No. Which is good because in the side quest on this, that they talk about war wolves, which I'm interested in finding out about. And perhaps tell me more. But war wolves, because when I started reading it, I was thinking, well, if this is just Britain, maybe it's Newcastle. So when they say war wolves, it's like our wolves.
War wolves.
War wolves,
War wolves, man.
I don't want your bloody sorry. I think it's much better value in a sort of Likely Lads Geordie.
The Warwolves are more fun. They were so original Excalibur was Captain Britain and some of the X-Men when the main X-Men were meant to be dead, but they actually weren't. So Nightcrawler, Shadowcat, a new Phoenix, and a character called Megan join Captain Britain and become Excalibur.
Wait, hang on. Megan throwing in at the end there.
She's Megan.
Right, Megan. Who's Megan with?
You scoff at Megan.
She's come here with somebody.
I used to read a Captain Britain graphic novel. It was the first graphic novel I ever got. Uncle Keith got it me for Forbidden Planet. I remember it well. And it was Captain Britain. And I used to sit and read it on the bus. And a girl who was older than me, who's now quite a good friend, I say every now and again, but she remembers me sitting reading, telling them about Captain Britain when I was like 11. Megan,
It's got a special place in your heart.
it's got
Colin,
a real
this character.
place in my heart, you know, which is just another reason to hate all these racist pricks. You know, because I think there is room for a Captain Britain, you know, and I mean, it's hard, obviously, because we were dreadful colonists in the past and all that stuff. But Captain Britain is weirdly the most honourable character from comics, maybe, you know, in the way, but more so than Captain America. You know, Captain America kind of can do no wrong and he's always kind of in the right and stuff. And whereas Captain Britain is very flawed, is always getting things wrong, is always sort of getting knocked down and taking the piss. I guess you could take the piss out of him more easily, but he's very stiff upper lip and he is from a sort of upper class, posh background. Although it sort of turns out his parents are actually from Otherworld, which is, okay, how do I say this very quickly? It's like a dimensional link which Britain is linked to. So I guess it's sort of like Avalon. It's the idea that King Arthur and all that stuff is from this other dimension. So that's why Britain is linked to this other dimension where you have, you know, powers and magic and stuff. Captain Britain is just a lowly research scientist called Brian Braddock.
Why is he going to be called Brian?
Brian Braddock. His place gets attacked by some terrorists who want his science, and he runs out into the night and he sees Merlin and Merlin's daughter Roma, who we'll come to at some point, and they offer him the sword or the amulet, and it's the sword of might or the amulet of right, and he chooses the amulet. And because he chooses the amulet, it becomes a defender of good in a nice, positive, you know, kind way.
I love when you go into
Albion,
these
that's the
rambles
thing about
of story because I love it when you go into these rambles of story because about halfway through I'm like, I don't know whether he's telling the truth or not. None of this may exist. I'm not sure.
It could be bullshit. I mean, none of it exists, sadly. I wish it did. But yeah, Captain Britain's always had a place in my heart. And I think it does, yeah, because he does have this kind of goodness and innate trying to do right, but trying to do right for everyone. You know what I mean? He's even though he is from the upper classes, he's not like a Tory or anything. He was always written by Alan Moore, who's couldn't be more anti-Tory, I guess. So he played with the what's the word? Dichotomy is maybe too big a word for this podcast or my brain, but he played with the contradiction of like him being for everyone, but also like the elite. Is he the elite? No, he's not. He's for everyone. You know, it was fun. It's really good. I urge anyone to read any of the Captain Britain comics, particularly the Alan Moore ones from the 80s. But Albion, so the big thing about Albion in his dimension, he chose the sword. So he is the colonist. He is the kind of fascist taking over the world type arsehole. And yeah, that's Albion. That's Albion in a nutshell. So finally, before Dan has to scoot off, how have you literally only got 3 minutes, Dan?
Well, the thing is, they stopped serving breakfast at 9:30. Over it's 2 minutes to 9. Me and my stomach are deeply concerned.
You're 6 hours behind us, aren't you? You're 6 hours behind.
I am, yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about Alex Wilder from Runaways #1. You want us to know about werewolves? We'll come to those another day because
yeah.
But yeah, they're not Geordie as far as I know, but they are.
I don't want Dan to be hungry.
They are a lot of fun. Those
very hungry.
No, Dan. What are you going to do? You full English, is it, mate?
No, we don't get that over here, mate. No, it'd be some delicious fruit, I think.
Mate, I don't want any of that sausage, bacon, and
nah.
beans, please, mate.
I'll have the Captain Britain menu.
Thank you.
That
Crap. No, it's fruit. It's fruit, is it? Lovely.
It'd be some. I'm sure it'd be some. Yeah, some wonderful fruit. Juice, mora, perhaps. Juice.
Mora. What's
Hey,
mora?
look. Oh, like a blackberry, I think. Something like that.
Fruit
I'm in the jungle, mate. You know, but they probably just picked it all off the tree.
You got any scrambled eggs? Lovely. Sounds yummy. So you're going to be eating that in a minute. So yes, let's talk about Runaways #1 with Alex Wilder. Okay, so this is my comic, right? So I'm going to Runaways #1. Runaways is great. I highly recommend anyone read it. But it starts, we see the Avengers or a group of sort of Avenger-type people fighting the Hulk, I think. And they're all talking to each other. I love this start. It's very clever. They're all talking to each other, perhaps not in the way you'd imagine Captain America, for example, to speak. They're essentially talking like teenagers saying, hey, come on, dude, and stuff like that. You know, what are they saying? Just having a quick look. Okay, wait, time up. I mean, they do use the R word, which is not good now, obviously. But they're basically
they do address that though.
They do address that
because I raised an eyebrow and then I thought, oh well, at least they've tried to fix it.
Just
on
so
the
you know, it's
page.
not cool to use the R word in a pejorative manner. Okay, then they make another joke.
Then they do use it again, yeah.
But and then they're saying to each other like, "Can you send me that skin?" Captain America calls Invisible Woman Mrs. Skanktastic because she's wearing a bit of a saucy outfit, which is not. Hang on, you think this isn't Captain America we know and love? It turns out it's actually Alex Wilder, who's a teenager, playing it as an online role-playing game. I guess this came out, that was what I was referring to earlier, Dan. I guess this came out when World of Warcraft was at its peak. I mean, the thing is with these computer games, they never look as good as they look in the comics. So in the comics, they make it look like it's actually real, and computer games have never quite got there. But, you know, and he's chatting to his mates on his little headset. His parents come in. They're like, you know, you need to stop doing that. You're on this all the time and all this. It's a bit of kind of teenage parent banter. And they're living in Malibu. They're absurdly rich. And it turns out they're meeting this old group of friends that they have today. Today's the day they all meet up. It's a yearly get together. Alex is a bit like, oh, I don't have to meet all those people again. Why do we have to meet them every year? And then you meet all the other characters. A bunch of other teenagers. There's Molly, Chase, Lucy, Nico, and they all meet up at Alex Wilder's house. Their parents are having this meeting. The kids all play in the games room, which I felt very sweet and real to me. Like, it kind of made me think, you know, when you got to go on holiday with your parents and you have to hang out with your parents' friends' kids, and you sort of like don't really like each other, but you kind of know each other. Some of you fancy each other, but some of you are like, oh God, she's so annoying. And there's one's a lot younger than everyone else. And I'm like, oh God, they're so stupid, you know, and all this stuff. I thought they captured that very well. Anyway, they get a bit bored, the kids, and they're like, let's go and spy on the rents, you know, on the parents while they're having their big meeting that they have every year. Brilliant idea, this, really good. It's written by Brian K. Vaughan, I should point out, who wrote a brilliant thing called Saga, which I also recommend everyone read. And they crawl through a sort of crawl space thing to peek through a window and see their parents at this meeting. Lo and behold, their parents are dressed. Alex's parents are still dressed in suits as before, but the others are dressed in sort of ninja outfits, sort of weird alien outfits, hooded monks. And then they bring out, what do they think? They think they're like, check out those costumes. They do say, yeah, our parents are totally gay, which is a bit, you know, some of this language is dated now. Yes, but it is 2003 or whatever. They bring out the guest of honor. It's a hot young lady, and Chase is like, who's the piece, you know? Gertrude points out it's starting to get a little bit eyes wide shut. Then, unfortunately, they get the lady on the table, do a sort of spell, and sacrifice her with a knife. Horrific. And that's where this episode ends. Great, scary setup. And what it turns out is those parents are part of a group called The Pride. And The Pride are basically a group of supervillains acting out of Los Angeles.
No.
The reason they're in Los Angeles, because as you know, where are all the superheroes? New York. Where
Yeah,
apart from the West Coast Avengers, if you remember them, but I don't think they're doing it at this point. But anyway, yeah, they are this evil foundation of supervillains, but supervillains so powerful and intelligent that they've kept under the radar, so nobody knows about them. And then the kids band together and say, we need to run away. That's why the comic's called Runaways. Brilliant concept, right?
I like.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good. And then also as it develops, so the different parents have got different, a sort of like almost a different, like a smorgasbord of different types of supervillains. So you've got two of them are like kind of mystical ninjas. Alex Wilder's parents, I guess the closest thing would be like Lex Luthor. So they're kind of like, or Kingpin. They're kind of like big proper crime guys. You know, crime guys. I think that's what they're called.
Crime guys, yeah.
What are the police called? Crime guys. Oh my God, we got some crime guys. You know, we're going to take down the crime guys. Anyway, 2 of them are mutants, 2 of them are aliens, and 2 of them are like witches. So then the kids, as the story progresses, find their powers. The mutant kids discover she's like super strong. The alien one has been wearing a ring her whole life. They gave her when she was born. Eventually she takes it off and suddenly becomes this sort of beautiful alien light creature, you know. It's wonderful.
What about Alex? What about Alex?
What about Alex specifically? Do you want spoilers?
If it's going to affect our rating.
Alex
You
Wilder,
need to know about him.
Alex is a genius, super genius. Spends a lot of his time online, the early days of online. He instantly becomes the leader of the Runaways. He's very much the guy who's in charge. Instantly, he's in love with Nico, who is the witch character. But so eventually it turns out that the reason they're doing this sacrifice is to these kind of Cthulhu type. Well, they're actually more like, they're not so Cthulhu, they're more like Aztec kind of gods who call like the Gibberim or something like that. And they give them their power. So they give them all their, you know, riches. It's a kind of Faustian pact, but they have to sort of do evil and sacrifice and stuff. And Alex ends up, when it comes down to it and it ends in a big confrontation, turns out to be the traitor. He betrays the gang for his dad. His dad's got sort of too much parental power over him and sort of guilt over him. So Alex does become a baddie, I'm afraid, which is genuinely a really upsetting turn because he's such a likable, lovely character. So yeah, that's Alex Wilder. Good character. There we go.
Wow.
I'd recommend.
I must say,
Runaways. It really is. And when it came out as well, it came out in like these little books, like sort of shrunk down graphic novels, which made it really pocket-sized and easy to digest. But it goes down very well. A lot of fun. Sorry, what were you going to say, Dan?
no, I was just going to back up that I really like that, the concept of the kids all getting together. It sort of reminded me of when my mum used to have Avon nights. You know, the Avon catalogue, and her friends used to come round and a woman would show them products from the catalogue and the kids would have to be upstairs in the room playing games.
It is like that. It makes me think my mum and her friends just pissed out their heads in the kitchen, you know what I mean? Halloween, dressed as witches. So it could, probably it came from that, his idea. You know,
I never knew.
Memory of something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't quite understand what they were all doing down there with these books. They could be spell books.
Yeah.
But in fact, it was just like some new way of mopping the floor.
Beauty and cleaning products.
Yeah.
Still evil. Still an evil. It's still an evil operation. But
okay, well, we've met those 3 wonderful characters. So I would recommend that anyone read Runaways. It goes down very easily. You both love it, I think. The other 2, don't bother. It's really not worth it. Okay, so we started with Aleta. Okay, I'm going to make a guess. I'd say she's below Aguila. Definitely below Aguila. Is she? She's better
I'm intrigued.
You're intrigued.
I want to find out more about her. Yeah, A-Bomb, I have no more interest in whatsoever. So
Abomination? Is she better or worse than Abomination? Should we put her above Abomination?
Oh.
it's a tricky system, this, isn't it?
This is tricky. This is a tricky system here.
I like it, though. I like it.
I think certainly in that tier, and then, you know, maybe if they turn up later on, we might go back and go, hang on.
Ajax. Oh, we can amend if like we go, Aleta's incredible. Yeah. What were we thinking? Or Abomination's amazing. All right, I'm going to put it below Abomination.
Okay, yeah.
Because of that brilliant story where Hulk's tiny. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
But I'm going to put her above Ajax. Oh, no, I'm going to put below Ajax. I like Ajax because of all his Inca stuff. Was it Inca or Aztec? I got it wrong last time. Aleta.
Yeah, it was...
Okay, so it goes Ajax, then Aleta. Albion.
Yeah.
he turned up for one fight, had a little go, did some sound effects, and then went, you know what? Nah, not bothered, mate. Off I go.
Right.
So based on this comic, I feel like it's a pretty low score.
I'm going to put him third to bottom above Arrow because
Yeah.
it sounds wrong, but Arrow was so lame, wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
awful.
Awful. Okay. Even though it sounds wrong that we prefer a big racist to a lovely Chinese lady, but fine. And then finally, Alex Wilder. Well, you guys haven't experienced him quite as much as I have, but I would probably put him. I'd put him below Agatha Harkness, above Abyss.
So, I mean,
Fripp,
can
Fripp,
I ask, like,
Yeah.
Fripp, yeah, he's not beating Fripp, is he?
Oh, you okay? You want to put him below Abyss?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you know, I've got a special place for Abyss.
Yeah, I know.
But I really like the sound of this kid. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially that turn at the end. If that really
Yeah, it's
gets
really
you
good.
in
yeah.
the feels.
It's really good.
then
So
yeah.
we'll put him below Agatha, above Abyss.
Above Abyss.
Yeah, Abyss is one below.
Just below Abyss. I
It
think.
goes Agatha, Abyss, Absorbing Man. Should we put him between Abyss and Absorbing Man then?
But below.
Below Abyss. Yeah. We can't put all characters below Abyss.
Yes.
Okay.
They all
Alex
fall into
Wilder.
the abyss eventually.
Great. So he is between Abyss and Absorbing Man. Albion is between Adam Destine and Arrow, and Aleta is between Ajax and Agent Zero, if that means anything to anyone. We'll put the order up somewhere where we're recording this in the past, where it's probably now September, if not November.
Yeah.
Could be October. But yeah, somewhere there'll be the list for you to look at. All right. Lovely to see you both. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, awesome.
Keep reading them comics.